What's a creative way to say, let's fuck? When I met my now husband, while on vacation, the first night things were going really well between us. I had to stop and say, I'm not into one-night stands. He looked at me and said, well, you're here for like a week, right? I once had a woman at bike rally grab my hand and say, let's go look at the stars. And as she's pulling me away, I look up at the sky. But, it's cloudy. Shut up, stupid. It's a good thing you're cute. My toddler son once said, shall we remove my pants? So naturally, I say that to my wife now. As a chef, I've used this before. A waitress asked me if I could cook her something nice for dinner one night. My reply was, I can't do dinner, but I can make you breakfast. She went bright red, lol.
What secret will you take to your grave? Way back about 8 years ago when I first started dating my now wife, she was extremely shy about her body and was very reserved because she had never been in a relationship. One night while I was over, she said she was going to go take a shower before we went out to eat. About 10 minutes after she left her room to take the shower, I heard a sound from the bathroom. I got up and knocked on the door and asked if she was alright and got no answer. I waited about a minute yelling to see what was wrong and decided I had to check on her to make sure she was alright. I opened the door and she was laying on the floor of the tub passed out with the shower still running. I picked her up and carried her to the bed and grabbed a towel and wrapped it around her and tried to wake her up. She wasn't responding and I was about to lose it. Luckily, after like 30 seconds she regained consciousness and embarrassingly asked if she had managed to put the towel on herself before she passed out. I lied and said she had it around her when I found her to make her feel better about it. I know it doesn't change a whole lot given that we have been married 3 years now, but I'll take it to the grave if it gives her peace of mind.
What's the darkest secret you found out about a family member relative? My dad was born in rural Texas in 1915. He was the youngest of 10 kids, all a year apart, so his oldest sibling, Henry, was about 11 years older than him. My dad's father died in an accident not long after he was born, so Henry became the man of the house at about age 11. When my dad was about 9 years old in 1924, a gang of men came through their small town, kidnapping children to work as slaves picking cotton about 400 miles away. Apparently this was not an unusual occurrence at the time. My dad and 2 of his siblings were taken. Henry, who was now 18, came home from working on a cattle drive about a week later, and found his mother hysterical about the kidnapping of 3 of her children. Being the man of the house, at age 18, Henry strapped on his father's 6 guns, dual holsters, 1 on each hip, and set out to get his 3 siblings back. He gathered clues about the gang from other townsfolk who also had children stolen. He headed east to where he was pretty certain the kids were taken, riding in empty train boxcars, and even on the roofs of moving trains. It took him several weeks, but through talking to locals along the way who heard rumors of child abductions, he finally narrowed down to a few cotton farms where he thought the kids were. My dad, who was 9 years old at the time this happened to him, had tears in his eyes when he told me this part of the story. He and 2 of his brothers, along with about a dozen other kidnapped kids, had been held captive on this cotton ranch for over 2 months, and had given up ever seeing home or the rest of their family again. They were kept locked in a barn, fed scraps, and forced to pick cotton in the hot Texas sun. They were beaten if they cried or refused to work. One day, working in the fields, they heard Henry's voice calling their names. They looked up and saw my Uncle Henry, walking towards them, and they started running toward him, when one of their captors rode up on a horse and started yelling. Henry pulled one of his guns and shot the man dead. My dad wasn't even sure if the man had a gun, and it didn't matter. The gunshot threw a couple more of the rancher captors over, and Henry killed them both as well. My dad ran up and hugged my uncle, and he told them let's go home. My dad tells me they rode on and in train boxcars all the way back west to their little Texas town, along with a couple other kids that were stolen from the town. When they got back to their small farm, my dad said his mom fainted when she saw them. He said Henry put the 6 guns away and never touched them again. There was no law enforcement, no investigation about what had happened, that my uncle murdered 3 men to get his siblings back. It was basically still the Wild West in Texas in the 1920s. The boys eventually all joined the Army and Navy, and all served and survived World War II. My dad didn't tell me this story until after Henry had died. I had always known my Uncle Henry as a sweet, soft-spoken, diminutive, about 5'4", maybe 100-pound man who went on to own a printing shop. I would never have imagined him capable of the feats of heroics he performed, at age 18, to bring his family back together.
What is socially accepted when you are beautiful but not accepted when you are ugly? Literally just existing and talking to people. There's a guy at work named Sean. Sean is unfortunate looking. He's a redhead. He's balding. Yet his sides and back are pretty long. He doesn't cut his nose hairs. He's constantly red/pink, pot-bellied. And yeah, he kind of lingers around your desk and talks a bit too much. Problem is, we all kind of do that, overstaying your cubicle visit or whatever. Everyone at work thinks he's creepy. They all think he'll shoot up the place or maybe will eventually be banned from entering a school zone. TBH. Sean is a sweet, nice dude. He's your nerdy, 40-year-old virgin type of dude. He's got a lot of friends, from what I can tell on Facebook, and practically 0 work friends. He plays on different softball and bowling teams. Goes out to bars with his friends and from what I can tell seems perfectly normal. I talk to him every so often and he's a really nice guy. I visited his desk and he said I was the first person to visit him. It's very unfortunate for him that people think of him this way.
Who's a celebrity everyone loves except for you and why? Jason Momoa. He came into the bar I worked at and acted super douchey with this very obnoxious "yes, it's me, aren't you grateful to be in my presence?" attitude. He was given tons of free drinks and special service by the owner who is a huge celebrity ass kisser. And then he stiffed the entire staff and didn't tip a dime. We spent hours working for him, all for nothing in return. He is ruined for me now. I had been a big GOT fan and he was one of my celebrity crushes, so it was extra disappointing when this happened. Amy Schumer. She made a joke about Sandy Hook just after it happened. She may have had it scrubbed from the internet, but it's seared into my brain and I hate her for it. Vin Diesel. He is so boring. Every single movie he plays the same type of character. Same tone. Same everything. There is no range. No diversity. Watching him act is fun the first few times, but then after that I feel like I need a change of pace and would rather watch paint dry, as it would give me more variety. The only different role that man ever played was as a tree whose only line is, "I am Groot." Beyoncé. I saw a picture of her fully clothed, in a jacuzzi, pouring a $20,000 bottle of champagne into the water. I don't know, but something about the frozen look on her face as she threw away money that could have paid for someone's operation or something, it just pissed me off. Men of Reddit. What's the hardest thing to explain to women? Why I don't know what the F my best friend is up to in life even after hanging out with him all day. The fact that we can ride in a car with another man for 5 hours and not say a word drives my wife crazy. That just because I'm quiet in your presence doesn't mean I'm upset. Just means I'm either tired, don't have anything to say, or I'm thinking about something. Sometimes an erection just happens. We don't control the thing. It's a physical response that could literally be from nothing. When we say we don't care, we really don't care. Yes, we can have an opinion on something, but when we say we don't care, that means our opinion isn't strong enough to sway us either way on something. Most of us don't get complimented, so if you do give us one, we'll remember it forever.
Women. What do you find most confusing about men? Their refusal to see a doctor, even if they have the means. Your leg has fallen off. 'Tis but a scratch. Scrolls through channels on TV. Sees movie. Does not know when it started. Has zero context about the plot. Watches the rest of the movie anyway. He uses my expensive shampoo to wash his whole body when there's a bar of soap right there. How I can tell my husband where something is, and he can look right at it and say, with certainty, it's not there. Why men rarely ask for further detail. Husband and friend make plans to have a games night, starting 5 p.m. at friend's place. That's all the info covered. Should we bring any games? It is at dinner time. Are we eating there? Are we meant to bring food? How many people are we feeding? Who is going to be there? Nothing. He knows nothing. Why is it that if I send you a message that has 3+ parts, you only respond to the least important part? If I'm like, hey, I saw our mutual friend while running errands. Let me know what you want for dinner, I'm about to go pick it up. And did you take out the trash? I get a response that says, oh yeah Dave, haven't seen him in a while. Hey, I don't want to nag, but can you take out the trash? Him. Yep. Me. Sees trash there next day. How little they know about their friends. My husband was friends with a guy for years and didn't know how old he was. I haven't noticed this with girls, but I have noticed that my husband will just like stare out into space with severe concentration, and I'll be like, what's wrong babe? And he will say something like, if all of our pets attacked me at once, do you think I could fight them off? I've seen other guys do this too. It's just so fascinating. We have a medium pit mix, a small chihuahua mix, 2 ferrets and a hamster. So the answer was probably yes. Unless he was asleep, then maybe the medium dog could best him.
r/AskReddit. Most embarrassing situation you've been in? Story inside. Doubt anyone can top it. My story. When I was 13, a doctor wrote me an adult dose for a certain medicine based on my weight. I was a fat kid. Our body does not work that way, and the medicine ended up constipating me, for a month. I did not shit for a whole month. I got sick. I had raccoon-like eyes, my stomach would jump or flutter by itself, I had cramps, etc. It was bad. I was miserable. I finally told my parents how long it had been since I had shit, and they freaked out and took me to the hospital. There, they gave 3 enemas back to back. After the third and final one, all that water softened all that shit up just enough I could expel it. I ran to the nearest bathroom, gown open in the back, and tried to make it to the toilet. I didn't. My ass was hovering at a 45-degree angle above the toilet when the geyser burst. This next part is not a lie, but I know some of you will think it is. I got shit everywhere. On the ceiling, somehow, on the floor, the toilet was covered, the walls, even the sink got hit with some spray. Shit was literally, yes literally, sprayed on all walls and ceiling. It was everywhere. I felt like a new kid after that. Cleaned myself up the best I could and then had to figure out what to do. There was no way I could clean it all up. I needed a janitor. So I walked out and politely told a nurse the bathroom needed clean up and badly. A janitor was only a few rooms down for some reason, so I saw him go by to clean it, but he did not know who I was. He got to the bathroom and the whole ER heard, "Oh hell no, I ain't cleaning this up. I quit." And he did. I felt so bad, still do. I made some poor janitor quit his job over a shit-caked bathroom. Men of Reddit, what's the most difficult thing to explain to women? I can't tell if you're flirting with me or not. Sometimes we just want a hug. Nothing more. Just a non-judgmental shoulder to cry on. Sometimes we are too shy to make the first move or take it further because we don't know if you're okay with that. That I'm happy just hanging out doing nothing. How 2 or more men can bond just by standing in a room in silence. That I really want to dress up in full plate armor and own a warhorse. When I tell you I don't need anything for Christmas, it really means you should get me the 7,541-piece LEGO Millennium Falcon set. When you ask me what I'm thinking about, and I occasionally say nothing, I'm literally staring off into the middle distance and spacing out. I'm not failing to share with you. It's like a mini reset button that takes 30 to 90 seconds to reboot the mainframe and stop a shutdown. When you ask me how my day was or what I did today, nothing in my day usually stands out as special, so I just don't remember. I usually don't remember what I do, I just live. When I'm asked what I'm thinking about and I say nothing, it's because I'm usually thinking of something dumb like who would win a fight, Godzilla or Megatron?
Doctors of Reddit, what is the weirdest thing a patient wouldn't admit? Not a doctor but a nurse. Had a patient come in with a toothpick in his penis. Refused to tell me how it got in there, insisting he was picking his teeth and it fell in. Nurse here. Had parents bring their 3-year-old son to the emergency department for 1 month of abdominal pain that kept getting worse. I ask all the routine questions for this complaint, lots of questions about his poop. Is it bloody, diarrhea, mucus? When was his last bowel movement? Any changes in the stool? They deny any other concerning symptoms but abdominal pain. We do blood work, ultrasound, x-ray. Everything comes back completely normal, but the kid is intermittently screaming in pain, curled in a ball. Over the next 5 hours I continue to repeat the same questions. I asked repeatedly if there was anything else going on that they could think of. Nope, the kid just doesn't seem well, but we have no reason to keep him. We decide to watch him a little longer, let him eat. The kid eats a bunch, a PBJ, apple juice, crackers, popsicle, no pain, so we decide to send them home. I bring in the discharge paperwork, and I'm about to start going over instructions, and the dad goes, for the past 3 months he's had a lot of worms in his poop. Worms. Fucking worms. You spent 6+ hours denying worms. I literally just turned around and walked out of the room without saying a word. I was laughing almost to the point of tears. Could not wait to tell my resident. Deworming medications, a shitload of wasted time, and they were on their way.